The black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?
In a world drowning in content, distraction, and fake progress, two voices refuse to play nice. One spat poetry like fire in a church. The other laced comedy with acid truths America still hasn't digested. This is a story about Gil Scott, Haren, and Paul Mooney, two prophets of pain, pride, and power.
So when we said that the revolution would not be televised, we were saying that that
Racism and systemic injustice in America, hypocrisy in Hollywood, and white liberalism. Mooney didn't sugarcoat. His comedy tackled black pride and cultural authenticity, the commodification of black pain and culture. Influenced a generation of black comedians, including Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and even younger comics like Cat Williams. Unapologetic humor and fearless commentary on race and American society.
I can't find Bin Laden. I can't find him. That's because you are Bin Laden.
Mooney was one of Pryor's key collaborators. He wrote much of the material for Pryor's albums, TV shows, The Richard Pryor Show, and legendary SNL appearances. He also wrote for shows like Sanford & Son, In Living Color, and Good Times. If Gil Scott, Haren, and Paul Mooney were alive today, watching Trump rise again, would they be surprised? Not for a second. Gil would say, "The revolution will not be televised, because the TV is the distraction." He'd call out corporate media for making fascism into entertainment. He'd mock how space programs are funded while people still can't pay rent. Paul would laugh, not because it's funny, but because he told us America would rather elect a racist reality star than face itself. He'd say, Trump is the final boss of white privilege. He'd drag Kanye's MAGA hat, Hollywood's tokenism, and white liberal guilt. Both would remind us, the revolution isn't a trend, it's a truth. Mooney didn't just tell jokes, he tore down illusions. His comedy didn't come with a safety net. There were no punchlines to soften the blow. Instead, there was fire, philosophy, and a searing critique of whiteness, racial fantasy, and cultural theft.
Crazy white man, why did you kill your wife? I was sleepwalking. This is a very unusual case. We'll have to study it. Crazy nigga, why'd you kill your wife? I was sleepwalking. Oh, nigga, really? Well, we're going to put you to sleep.
He grew up surrounded by black intellect, studied at Lincoln University, and never cared about stardom, only truth. His songs like Whitey on the Moon and Home is Where the Hatred Is exposed racism, classism, addiction, and abandonment.
places once referred to as underdeveloped are now called mineral rich. And the game goes on eternally, unity kept just beyond reach. Egypt and Libya used to be in Africa. They've now been moved to the Middle East. There are examples galore, I assure you. But if interpreting were left up to me, I'd be sure every time folks knew this version wasn't mine, which is why it is called his story. Of course, this poetry was always put down as street poetry because, of course, that's where the people were. People were on the street, and these were the people that you wanted to communicate with. Did an idea one time about how often it is that folks brother and sister one another, and how rare it is that something actually comes out of that people can grasp onto. Did a poem about the fact that oftentimes the people who are doing the most talking and the kind of conversations that you run into around this neighborhood should be the ones doing the most listening. The poem we did was called Billy Green is Dead.
Gil Scott Haren was more than just a musician. He was the father of what would later become hip-hop. A spoken-word poet, novelist, bluesman, and activist, Gil used rhythm and rage to hold a mirror to America's hypocrisy. His breakout anthem, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," wasn't just a song, it was a warning. A declaration that real change would never come through the comfort of television screens or corporate media soundbites. It would happen in the streets, in the mines, on a random day when you just disconnect from the system, to actualize what you've learned from inception. You will have the recollection that the revolution won't be on the television. It will be hidden in the folds of a lover's scarf. Passed in poems, in bread, in glances that pierce the veil of fear. You will feel the dust of your own soul settle. And see, truly see, the greatest are written in the heartbeats of those who refuse to bow.
I said, well, God damn, let me read this again. What now, Sad Was? In the back of the room, somebody said, hey, this must be deep. Because, you know, like, this must be deep is like a drape that we throw over everything, you know, like what we must be, this must be deep means that, like, I recognize all of these words individually. But damn if I can get anything out of the order in which they currently appear. This must be deep. I mean, because you figure it must be deep, it's in this book. You say, well, why the hell would they put it in this book if it didn't mean nothing? Because ordinarily you read that, don't mean nothing. You say, hey, this must be nonsense. But you don't want to say that with the teacher standing right next to you. Why you give me this, you know? So you say, hey, this must be deep.
If this resonated with you, like it, share it, drop in the comments. What would Gil Scott Haren or Paul Mooney say about America today? And remember, the revolution will not be televised.